My biggest take from preseason NFL week 1, did any rookie quarterbacks play poorly? Any of them?
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Monster Monday presented, of course, by DraftKings. Love those dudes. Love all of you. Love especially those of you that use the code Ross if you want to play best ball on the DraftKings app or Ross over at DK Sportsbook. We got a bunch of entries, by the way, for the best ball this week. After thinking we weren't even going to have a second best ball, I think we got 10 to 20 of you, maybe even more, that submitted your best ball entries for the Fantasy Feast podcast. So thank you very much. It is a new week, which means every team played. There's a lot to talk about there in terms of the preseason games. It also means that we'll have a new Spread the Word winner via social media at Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker Pod. Just engage in any way. New sponsor confirmation email winner. We've got more and more sponsors coming aboard because football season's coming. So make sure you keep up to date on the sponsor page over at rosstucker.com or just whatever you hear on the show. And then love the YouTube shout out because I really like to send you guys videos personalized, and I know that you appreciate them. youtube.com/rosstuckernfl. We are, by the way, starting to rack up the patrons. Hopefully they just want to chat and be on our private Slack channel with the rest of the great listeners that we have or viewers. But maybe they want to start to see the bets for the Even Money podcast in black and white. Shout out to Matt Davis, our latest patron, patreon.com/RTmedia. Very excited, by the way, about today's big show. There's some stuff to get to. We're going to have a press box food review for the first time this season from Baltimore's M&T Bank Stadium in a little bit. But first, you guys know how much I love football. I really kind of owe my whole life to football. And so I'm on a mission. I really am. I'm on a mission to get as many people internationally to watch and or be aware of and or play, quote unquote, American football. I also want as many young people in the United States to become fans, whether that's playing flag football, which certainly helps quite a bit, or becoming fans thanks to these two guys I met at the Super Bowl. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, so you guys know how much I adore, and I mean adore, the sport of football and want to try to grow it in any way possible. I think I made that pretty clear on the preseason game last year with the Eagles and the Browns about spreading the game internationally. I just think it's fantastic. I want as many people as possible to participate in it, as many people as possible to watch it, to attend, all of those things, which is why I got so fired up when I first heard about futurefans.com and was able to get connected with these two guys. They're the co-founders of futurefans.com, which is pretty much doing more than I've heard anybody else doing to try to make sure young people fall in love with the game of football, especially I would say people that don't play football, young people that don't play it, or at least understand it. I'm talking with Mike Schroeder and Michael Gold, the co-founders of futurefans.com. I know they're on Twitter at FutureFans SPRTS. We got to fix that, guys. Let me just start the interview with that. We got to have a better Twitter handle than that. What is that, Mike?
It's a character limit problem with Twitter, unfortunately. The full sports is there on Instagram.
What's it called?
Future Fan Sports all the way is there on no missing letters on Instagram.
Nice. Well, we'll figure out a better Twitter handle, but that's all right. The point for right now is go to futurefans.com. Okay, so because I've talked to you guys before, because we got connected, I know what Future Fans is now, but obviously 99%, I would assume, of the people listening or watching us, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL, don't know what it is. So, Michael, how would you explain Future Fans and exactly what you guys are trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so Future Fan Sports we're a brand that helps little kids become big fans. As you said, we love football, we love sports, and we wanted to make sure that young kids could get into the game. And we do that through storybook-led activity boxes that introduce a sport in ways that kids can understand. And we launched with our football product this time last year, and we've just launched our second product as well, soccer.
So, by the way, do you guys have a tagline, or do you guys have like a, what do they call it? Like, do you have a phrase?
Yeah, helping little kids become big fans is one, and the fun and easy way to learn sports is the other.
Okay, because I had not heard that before Michael just said that. I love that. Helping little kids become big fans, that is awesome. I love that. That would be, go with that with everybody you guys talk to, because that's incredible. All right, so I guess, obviously most people are listening to this, Mike, so can you walk us through a little bit more and be descriptive of exactly how it works? I feel like Michael sort of gave the 30,000 foot view, but how does it work in practicality?
Yeah, so Ross, what we found is that kids learn best when concepts are communicated via stories in play. And so that's how we teach, right? Instead of trying to introduce the rules of football directly, we do it in parallel ways with stories and play. A beanbag toss game that teaches the kids downs that you read about in the story, and then you get to play yourself. And we can go into more depth about how this kind of all comes together in a product, but I think it's helpful to understand a little bit about the backstory. So, I'm a lifelong Bengals fan. They're making this unexpected run to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. I would describe it as life-changing for me. I'm at that first playoff win in 31 years against the Raiders with my brother. We're purposefully sitting in the same section we used to go to games to with our dad, who had passed away a couple years earlier, and sharing that moment with him and the random strangers around us was magical, right? It's everything that sports is meant to be, in this kind of cross section of community and people coming together. The rest of that run, I'm literally grounded at home. My wife is 36 weeks pregnant with our third kid, and my oldest child at the time, Ella, my 5-year-old daughter, despite my best efforts since the time she arrived in this world, was not into football, right? I'd paused the TV, I'd tried to explain the game, I could answer any question she had, but she didn't know enough to engage, and there was no spark for her. And so I found myself watching the rest of these, like I said, for me, life-changing games by myself, and that was devastating. And so I had this flashback to 6 months prior to this. She and I had done this chess product that involved a storybook and teaching in indirect ways. So, for example, you meet a king in the storybook that eats all day. He's so big, he can only move one step at a time. Right? and within 2 weeks, my 5-year-old and I could play a game of chess where she understood what every piece on that board could do. So back to the Bengals run to the Super Bowl, I'm like, listen, chess is fine and well, but I care a lot more about sports, and there's got to be a better way to kind of meet her where she is and help her understand the game in a way that makes sense to her.
That is so cool. So obviously you didn't have this product for the Bengals playoff run. So I'm just curious, how did you balance the Bengals playoff run excitement with sort of the frustration or disappointment of not being able to get your daughter engaged?
Yeah, I would say, trying to live vicariously through other, and this was still during a COVID time period, right? So I couldn't go out to the bar or be around other people either where my wife was in her pregnancy. So it was a lot of group chats, a lot of video calls with other people. And I remember we hit a last second field goal to beat the Titans in the divisional round. I'm like, running upstairs to where the rest of my family is like watching Encanto. They're looking at me like I'm a crazy person, and it was just like this has got to change. There's got to be a better way out there to get kids interested in the sport.
I was on the sideline for the AFC Championship game, and man, the Chiefs were kicking their you-know-what in the first half. If you would have told me that the Bengals would come back to win that game with that O-line, it really is. Sports are crazy. What about you, Michael? I mean, obviously Mike told his story, so I'm guessing what was this kind of Mike's idea, and how and why did you decide to jump in?
Yeah, so Mike brought that idea to me during the Bengals run and immediately sparked great memories that I had with my own parents, grandparents, around the power of sports and the powers of making memories. And so like I immediately recognized the magic of this idea and then said like, we've got to do this. And so, subsequent to that initial spark, right? Like I'm a big Michigan football fan. Last 3 years have been a really nice time to be a Michigan sports fan. And so like, building out this product and being really intentional with my own kids around these amazing sports memories, has been just like so incredible. Like taking my daughter to the Ohio State Michigan football game last year, on the road to the national championship game, and just like having these core memories that like we'll have for the rest of our lives now. And that's like ultimately the mission of what we're after, right? Sports is this such a unique thing that creates memories and you can share across generations.
About core memories, because that's what my wife and I talk about all the time when trying to make a decision about what to do with our daughters, is like, well, what are they going to remember? Like what's actually going to resonate with them for the rest of their lives or for a long period, as opposed to just be another weekend, another whatever. What's the age range for this thing?
Yeah, so the age range is, young kids, ages 4 to 8, right? So, those kids that are just starting to kind of understand what's going on in the world, be able to read and interact. Though we have seen, especially among, crazy sports fans' families, there's some older kids that may not have gotten into the game yet. And this is a great on-ramp where, you can do it by reading, by playing, and it doesn't feel, like you're, really getting hit over the head with football.
And just so your listeners understand like exactly what this is, right? This is a storybook-led activity box. The football box has a storybook, 5 games and toys that are unboxed along the way, and an activity book at the end. And so parent and child start by reading this storybook that takes place at a fictional summer camp called Camp Rallyhoo. The kids play these games like a beanbag toss game that has the rules of downs embedded into it. You stand in a hoop, you've got 4 tries to throw 1 beanbag into the next hoop. If you make it, you advance and get 4 more tries. If you get it into the end, you get 6 points and you get to dance, right? So kids don't even realize they're learning it. The storybook ties all that together, and they read about this game called Circle Toss, this beanbag toss game, and then they're directed to open up a surprise toy or game within the box. They get to then play it themselves. So it's this multimodal learning that reinforces what they're learning and keeps them engaged, because they get to keep opening things and unboxing surprises along the way. And the activity box, takes a week or 2 to go through, but provides ongoing entertainment. And again, this is all about connection, right? I told you the story about my daughter Ella and that Super Bowl run. A year later, Bengals again making a run to the AFC Championship game. I'm set to go to Kansas City to meet my brother. After we beat the Bills in the divisional round, my then 6-year-old daughter, Ella, looks at me that night, Sunday night, and says, "Daddy, please don't go. All I want to do is watch the game with you." I canceled on my brother, who still went. She and I took in that, for me, a heartbreaking loss on our couch at home. And at the end of the day, like, that's what we're selling. This lifetime of memories and connection around a shared interest.
All right, so the Downs example. So you read the book, you read the storybook, and then you read the part about how Downs works with the beanbag. Tell me about like the actual surprise then and how they learn about Downs, well, like with the beanbags.
Yeah, so let me walk you through it. There's a beanbag toss game here, and it gets introduced in this storybook. And so there are a series of hoops, and you stand in the first hoop, and you have 4 tries to throw a beanbag into that next hoop, okay? If you're successful, you get 4 more tries or another first try. And if you get into the last hoop, you get 6 points. And so by swapping out the word down, which is actually really confusing to a young kid, they're looking down, they're looking up, right, with the word try, and embedding it into a simple but fun game that both mimics downs and touchdowns being 6 points, they can easily pick up the concept. And as Mike said, right, you get the game, you get to play it, and then you read about it in the storybook, and it gets connected all together in downs. And so that's, kind of the magic of how it works and how kids can learn in this way.
And it's funny, Mike, you're a listener of the show, right?
Correct.
Are you nervous at all or no?
No.
I love it. So here's it's so funny because I talked to some of the marketing people for some of the different NFL teams. This is like a real concern with them. There's data out there that kids are just not as into sports and watching sports on TV. They're just not. They don't care as much. Especially once they have a phone or social media, forget it, that they're into that. But even younger kids, they're just not as into it. Have you guys had any success yet? Have any teams, I feel like every team should have these available at the stadium or what? I mean, I'm sure they're just trying to sell their own jerseys and stuff. I get it, but I still feel like talking with them, they know this is a problem. I'm curious to see kind of what it's been like for you guys so far. Have you sold any of these things?
Yeah, so we'll talk about this maybe on the consumer side and then from the team and league perspective, right? So we've won 6 awards. The football product in particular has won 6 awards from parenting organizations, an autism organization, an influencer list, right? So you've got a football learning product sitting alongside the Disney and Sesame Streets of the world. And as it relates to teams and leagues, again, we came at this from the sport fan dad. That data was real in my house, right? The thought of my daughter not becoming a fan and being able to share this with her was my impetus for wanting to do this. And so when we talk to teams in the league, it's listen, we create a young fan from a lifelong fan from a very young age, and we strengthen and reinforce the fandom of the adult through that process. And we've gotten all kinds of traction as they seek to create the next generation of fans. And there's, as you said, a lot of data and research out there that there are challenges and headwinds in doing so. And both football and soccer have been very excited about this, from selling our product in team stores to doing player visits in schools with NFL teams. And we've even tested a beanbag toss station as part of the NFL experience that travels around of the tentpole events like Super Bowl, draft, etc. We were just in Canton for the flag championships as part of that NFL experience. So, gotten a lot of good traction there and excited to continue to work together with those organizations and helping to grow the game among the youth.
This is probably pretty obvious, but if people are interested, just go to futurefans.com. They can order it there, or is there somewhere else they should go?
Yeah, futurefans.com. You can buy the box for $49.99 and get it shipped quickly to your house. And we love all the engagement. We love talking to sports fans and hearing about how people can introduce their kids and ignite that spark of a love of the game.
That is awesome. Check out futurefans.com. I love anything like this. First of all, I think the listeners know I have several small businesses, so I'm into small businesses and trying to grow them. And number 2, I love anything that helps more kids become fans of the sport of football. That is awesome. Mike Schroeder, Michael Gold, futurefans.com. Always great to have a listener on the show. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ross.
Yeah, thanks, Ross.
Awesome stuff from Mike and Michael. You know what else is awesome stuff? Labatt Blue Lights. I had several this weekend again because I was able to go to the Jersey Shore after the Eagles-Ravens on Friday night. Went right from Baltimore to the Jersey Shore. Got there like 1:45 a.m. Anyway, the point is Drink Labatt Blue Lights, or like I was this weekend, Labatt Blue Light Lime with your friends. Live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. Very happy, by the way, to have Smirnoff as a sponsor. Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. Football is a we thing. Smirnoff is the perfect vodka for crafting delicious cocktails that are easy to make and versatile for any and all fans over 21. There's a reason why Smirnoff is the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. Grab a bottle of Smirnoff at your local retailer and head to Smirnoff.com to find recipes of delicious cocktails perfect for game day. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff #21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross, before we get into the news and the preseason games, you teased it on social media, so we need your first Tuck spreads of the 2024 season.
It is unbelievable when I mention my schedule or when I mentioned I was doing the game for the Eagles, how many people said, yeah, that's great, but we need the Tuck spreads. We need the Tuck spreads video. So I put it on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Jack, did we post it to TikTok or no?
Did not post it to TikTok.
We might want to do that. I think this might become a thing on TikTok. We need to do the hashtag Tuck spreads on TikTok. Young people like food too, so let's do that moving forward. All right, this is important to note. The Baltimore Ravens moved their whole press box. They moved their whole press box, and the television and radio booths used to be the best in the league, probably. They moved it to a location that's, I would call it, more in line with the rest of the league because it enables them to sell suites where we used to be. I get it. I'm not mad at Steve Bisciotti. I love Steve Bisciotti, one of my favorite owners in the NFL. So we got up there, and I'm up there I'm actually up there 4 hours before the game. They had candy out. Skittles, Sour Patch Kids, M&Ms, slight downgrade because it was regular M&Ms and not peanut M&Ms. Nobody should ever purchase regular M&Ms when peanut M&Ms are available. They also had hot dogs and popcorn out before they put the food out. They did not have Coke Zero. That is a downgrade. They only had Diet Coke, but they had a Caesar salad, Maryland crab dip, mac and cheese, Baltimore pulled pork. Wasn't sure that was really a thing. And then gigantic, delicious cookies. By the way, Jack, I did get some criticism from my wife, Kara, who said my video went too fast. I went too fast with the Tuck Spreads video. I will try to do better. I'm going to give them a B+. The slight downgrades are for the M&Ms not being peanut M&Ms, Diet Coke instead of Coke Zero, and then when I went to get the pork, they had run out of pork. So they eventually got more pork, but that's why I'm going to give them a B+. Really solid effort in the first game in this new location for the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. So what were your thoughts on the first week of preseason games? How did you feel about those? Anything there? You
know what? I think I'm going to make this my Labatt take. Presented by Labatt Blue Light, the pristine Canadian Pilsner. Enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. My biggest take from preseason NFL week 1, did any rookie quarterbacks play poorly? Any of them? Caleb Williams looked awesome. I mean, that one throw was ridiculous. Jaden Daniels looked good. Joe Milton did some things. J.J. McCarthy looked really good. Penix Jr., I thought, did some amazing things. Bo Nix lit on fire. I mean, I don't know how to explain that. It's a positive. Certainly those teams are trying to put them in a position to succeed, and they're going against vanilla defenses. But still, that's my biggest takeaway from preseason NFL Week 1. I think every rookie quarterback played well. The only other thought I had, Jack, was I thought the Eagles rookies really played well in the game I did. And Wiggins for the Ravens, their first-round corner, he was fantastic. Kudos to him. That was really, really impressive. The other transactions, since our last show that are noteworthy. The Saints gave linebacker Pete Werner a big money extension. The Patriots cut Juju Smith-Schuster, Jack, even though he's owed $7 million fully guaranteed. That's wild. And quarterback Nick Foles officially retired from the NFL after 11 seasons. What a truly unique and awesome career that Nick had. Big even money on Tuesday. Make sure you check out the college draft today. It's excellent. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network on Samsung TV Plus, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. A lot of people have anniversaries coming up. You know how I know that? September and October are the two biggest months for weddings, which means a lot of people out there are selfish and don't care about their people coming to their wedding that like football, but that's a whole other story for another day. The point is, if you have an anniversary coming up or your parents do or whoever, go to myfrontpagestory.com, backoffisscheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.